One of the most interesting things, points of hubris that I find with men is when they realize that their daughters are not as forgiving, as permissive towards them, as understanding as their wives are. And I find this really funny because it in some ways acknowledges the role that women play in their life as a primary role, and it neglects the fact that the role of child, as in a child-centered experience, a child-centered world, what a matriarch would actually be, fundamentally it subverts that dynamic. Let me explain what I mean. So whether you're looking at religious context, whether you're looking at patriarchy, whether even you're looking at the way that pop culture and stuff centers men, the role of a woman to a man when we're talking about girlfriend or wife is largely just that, right? A person, a human giver that stands beside the man and provides sex, support, affirmation, what have you. Now, this all falls apart when we're talking about daughters, which is why fathers are in over their head when they realize that their daughters go no contact with them, their daughters don't forgive them, and their daughters also see the way that their mothers get treated. Because the role of a child, first and foremost, isn't gendered. It's to essentially receive the love, care, connection of a supportive adult or group of adults ideally in their lives. It's to have a safe, sustained, and supported childhood. So when misogyny, right, interrupts this from a primary caregiver, it's kind of one of the most unforgivable things that you can do because this person hasn't yet embodied or internalized a role in relation to the father figure that is actively subservient. It's one of the few spaces in men's lives where they're actually expected to not only just perform something well for women, right? Perform it well as a to father effectively, to have a child that still wants to see you, develops good self esteem, feels autonomous, confident, all those things. But it's something you kind of got to do whether you have a son or a daughter. And if you fail to do it, there's no other tether connecting you to that relationship, connecting to the woman to that relationship. There's no concept of servitude for somebody whose primary role was to be a child, regardless of whether daughter or son, to be a child. There isn't that additional degree of obligation. And it's just a wild thing watching men comment these things like mid under people's videos or be, generally misogynistic to the aunts or the wives or the women in their lives, not comprehending that all of this is being taken in by their daughters that are very likely going to turn around, grow up, and want absolutely nothing to do with them. It's wild that they're not able, the hubris of patriarchy and misogyny doesn't allow them to process and anticipate this reality.